Hello and welcome to Network. My name is Spumelele Zondi with your technology and social media news. If you want to be a part of this technology conversation, find us on SABC Network. Now that's on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. newsnetwork@sabc.co.za on email. Here's what's coming up in the program. We check in at Rage Gaming Expo and find out more about local games developers. We'll also find out about the role played by technology in sports. And we are off to Cape Town for our discussion with Sean Dipno. He will tell us about South Africa's first data science education facility. Hello, Sean. How important is data science?
Well, in the future, all organizations will be data-driven enterprises. So data science will be a critical skill in our economy going forward to succeed.
All right, we'll touch more on that later in the program. Let's get on with your technology and social media news. Now, Rage is Africa's biggest gaming festival. It took place over the weekend in Johannesburg. Producer Lebo Sejake was having all the fun over there.
We love Rage!
Dressed as their favorite television and video game characters, South African gaming enthusiasts seem to be having the time of their lives at this year's Rage Expo.
I am Victor Van Helsing, then Vampire Hunter Extreme. To my sides I have two dual blades, ready for slicing throats, and my trusty holy blades.
I'm Baby Doll from Sucker Punch, it's a movie. I'm Drow Ranger from Dota 2.
So the character that I'm currently wearing is a guy named Roadhog. He's from the Blizzard game Overwatch, which is a first-person shooter that basically has multiple roles.
Not only are they computer or video games, but regular arcade games like this pinball machine are also featured here at the Rage Gaming Expo.
Esports tournaments are also gaining momentum in South Africa's gaming industry.
This year's trends, we've seen a lot of growth on esports over the couple of years, and this year it seems to be at a new level. We've got two big stages now. Guys are playing for like a lot of prize money. That's a nice trend that we've seen come in.
Celebrating its 15th year with the theme A Galaxy of Geek, Rage aims at growing locally developed games.
We have a section called Home Coded, where we allocate a space at the show where guys that are developing games, local guys, can come and show off their games here. And there's some really excellent ones down there. So every year we try and grow that section because, you know, we've got good talent in this country. It just never gets a chance to, you know, get out there.
This year also saw a significant growth in the number of women gamers.
The numbers of women in the gaming industry are definitely growing. You know, it's one of those things that if you look at the international research, I don't know if there has been any local research done on it, but certainly in the States, I mean, the gender divide is approximately 50-50, so it is quite high. I think there is still the stereotype that you know, girls don't play games, but it's something that I'm seeing more and more of, particularly women starting to make their way into the professional esports world as well, which is really nice to see.
Rage started on Thursday, October 6th and closed its doors on Sunday the 8th.
We also decided to catch up with some individuals who are involved in South Africa's gaming industry. It seems developing educational games is something that's popular in South Africa. Gaming is a multi-billion rand industry. Nowadays, people play on consoles, smartphones and computers. Despite video games having a long history now, Africans are often not big players in the games development industry. Kim Chulu grew up in Lubumbashi in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
You do not have proper roads everywhere. So when cars pass, you actually have the dusts that actually just rise and all of that. And we now trying to say, let's try and get that place and let's go play it somewhere else, and let's also try and start a little business with that PlayStation so we could have other kids come in and they can play. First problem we had is that mom bought the whole game from China, and then when she bought the game, she actually bought the wrong FIFA. So we were playing some funny FIFA in another language. And then after that, with the dust that was happening there, we actually got the actual console damaged.
With these struggles, Kim didn't even think that he could create his own video games. It was only once he'd moved to South Africa that he realized he could be a games developer.
We build in products for education to try and bring the fun into education, and that was also looking at the problem that we have with education and how we can try and revolutionize that in the country and in the continent. And we also do entertainment games.
Kim says Africans will relate better to games with African characters and elements that they understand. Universities are now even funding people who want to get into the business of video games. Recently, Britain's Chevening Scholarship gave an award to Kumo Mwerane, who is now in England to study towards a Master of Arts.
2 years ago, that's when I found out about Unity, the game engine. And that's when the light bulb went off. Instead of just hosting tournaments, I can actually make the games. And I think that's something that I never thought possible. And it's just, I'm just happy to be here, and I found this software, and it's changed my whole direction and my whole involvement in the industry. So I'm so excited about that. And then there's other programs like Unreal, there's Blender, which is a 3D software. These are all free stuff, so everything's there for us.
He says he wants to get into the business of video games when he returns home. With a little support, many African games developers could create an industry that tells local stories in video games. Technology now plays a massive role in sports too and assists athletes improve their times. SABC Sithole is in Stellenbosch to find out more for us.
Technology has inevitably become an inherent part of sport. Just recently, a leading shoe manufacturer tried to break the 2-hour mark for a marathon, technology being at the forefront of that goal, as they had the design and specific running shoes and kit for the athletes to run in. Applied correctly and within the confines of the laws of sport, the use of technology can open up endless possibilities.
What we're trying to cover today in this workshop with the conference delegates is to show them how they can use technology to help them to manage their athletes, both in a team squads kind of scenario and also individual athletes. With the advancement of what we call the Internet of Things, which is a whole methodology of connecting sensors and people and information together using the internet as the connective medium, you can now monitor your athletes in a squad situation or even remotely across the country, measuring the right kind of information, analyzing that information, giving the right kind of training doses, managing their training load, ensuring that you can maximize their condition to ensure you get the best possible performance out of your athlete.
Rugby has probably been one of the greatest proponents of technology usage. A coach can monitor a player's performance remotely. Data can be sent to team doctors in real time, possibly preventing unexpected occurrences. In the past 5 years alone, more than 40 football players have died whilst on the field of play, cardiac arrest accounting for almost all their deaths.
What is the highest effort you can sustain for an hour? Now that's a difficult thing to test for. One, because it takes up a lot of time. It's still incredibly painful to push yourself hard for 20 minutes, but it's a lot easier to do that than for an hour. And then based on those results, we then take off 5%, and that gives us a pretty good idea of what we could potentially hold for an hour, and then we can use that information to base subsequent workouts, whether to make sure that they're easy enough or to push athletes hard when they need to spend time of work.
Many a parent dreads the words social media app. Not all technology is bad for your kids. In fact, some could just save their lives. SABC Sithole, SABC News, Potchefstroom.
Well, is there a part of life that's not affected by technology nowadays? It's SABC Network now. That's on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. After the break, we chat to Sean Depno, who is going to tell us about South Africa's first data science education facility. Stay with us.
asked the British how they felt about being the biggest cider drinkers in the world, they'd say something like this. Yes. Well, we don't know about you, but that sounds like a challenge. Challenge accepted. Tops at Spa. Good cider, good advice, no stiff upper lip.
We're talking news, business, and sporting updates both continentally and abroad. South Africa is in its first economic recession since 2009.
Currency has appreciated, quite a lot, especially for this year, and it has benefited from a number of things. Not so much to do with what was happening here at home.
The Islamic State-linked news agency AMAC claims the latest attack was launched because of Australia's backing in the US fight against the group.
Constad is one of the dozens of women who have accused Cosby of sexual assault, but hers is the only case recent enough to be subjected to criminal prosecution.
Stay tuned to News Today at 3 p.m. from Monday to Friday on SABC News.
It is the SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. Get in touch with us. Now, the Explore Data Science Academy plans to train 1,000 data scientists over a year. It is South Africa's first data science education facility. Joining us from Cape Town is Sean Dipno, who is the founder of this center. Hello, and thank you very much for joining us, Sean.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Sean, let's start by explaining what data science actually is.
Okay, so data science at its essence is about solving real-world problems using sophisticated mathematical and statistical techniques. So, in layman's terms, it's, using smarter algorithms to solve problems. And there's millions of problems in the world, and there's millions of different ways to solve them.
All right, so I don't think you simplified it for someone who actually knows absolutely nothing about computers, technology, and even the word algorithms.
So let me give you an example, a famous example. So recommender systems are pretty common these days. So if you've got Netflix or Deezer or any of these music or video sites, the problem to solve is what is the next best video or next best song for you to listen to. And data scientists in the background will write algorithms, which are basically computer programs, and given your search history and given your friends and what they watch, and given the patterns inherent in those, they will then say, Sean, you should watch Breaking Bad next. That would be an example of a data science problem.
Why do we need these data scientists in South Africa if already this is happening for us by people who are not South African?
Sure, that's a good question. So I guess firstly, there's a couple studies out. I guess a famous one says there's 3 million data scientists required by 2020 globally, and that's a supply gap. And locally, the numbers between 10 to 100,000 data scientists required. We have local companies; they need data scientists to solve their problems. And we just need to produce these data scientists. Simple as that.
Where have they come from before? Because there was no education facility that taught. Where did you train, for example?
So data science is an emerging profession. It's offered at some universities at a bachelor level. There's a few master's programs, so it's starting to be taught. But as you imply, it's quite new, and the supply coming through those channels aren't sufficient. And I guess the Explore Academy hopes to supplement that supply with hundreds of graduates per year. Personally, I'm an actuary. I studied actuarial science, and actuaries are very good and trained in using data to solve problems. So I guess I've retooled as a data scientist, as have a lot of our founders. They're all actuaries who have reskilled themselves with data science.
Tell us about this facility now. Where did the idea come from, and what is this facility?
So the three of the founders are actuaries. All of us have academic backgrounds. One of the founders was the head of actuarial science at UCT. So we've all got academia and teaching, passion for teaching in our blood. We all have noticed the massive gap of data scientists in corporate South Africa. So there's a huge need to supply them into our economy. So that's the context and background for our enterprise. The actual location of the Data Science Academy is in Cape Town, Bandwidth Barn, which is in the Woodstock Exchange, and that's the year 1 seeding of the enterprise. But year 2, 2019 onwards, we expect to get a presence in Gauteng because there's a real demand for data science skills there.
And at the moment, do people have to track to Cape Town if they want to be part of your education facility and study there?
Yeah, so it's an on-premise 1-year course, full-time. So you need to be at the Bandwidth Barn, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. We do offer a stipend, which is a living allowance, which pays basic rent and food. So if you are based outside of Cape Town, we do assist with that. When I say we, it's BCX. They, generously our sponsors, and they're funding the tuition of the students and the living allowance. So the course is free, and the living allowance is subsidized by BCX.
Tell us about that relationship with the BCX. So you're saying they are paying for students? Is that all they're involved in?
Yeah, so BCX, it's owned by Telkom. It's a ICT provider providing a range of ICT services into South Africa. They have a big strategic imperative to grow the skills base in South Africa and to really raise the profile of data science. And there's a great strategic fit between us and them. And correct, they're funding the tuition fees and the living allowance of students, and they've committed to 3 years of this and 100 students per year. So they're backing 300 students to go through our facility, which is fantastic.
Sean, if someone wants to study with you guys, what are they supposed to do? What can they do?
So you go to our website, which I can give at the end of the show, the URL. Go to the website, click on Apply Now. There's a 15-question aptitude test, which tests your mathematical, statistical, and problem-solving abilities. Given how you do, we then filter that list. There's a few more rounds, which will be face-to-face interviews and an essay. But fundamentally, we're not... you don't need to have degrees and diplomas. We test your raw ability, check your ability to solve problems face-to-face in a mini boot camp. And then if you're in the top 100, next year, 22 January, we start.
And it's often said that South Africa has quite a high unemployment rate. So someone might be thinking, well, where will I work if I study with them and if I become a data scientist?
So, a couple things around that. So data science was rated the top job in the US for the last 3 years. I think it's one of the highest paying jobs in the world. It was rated the sexiest job by the Harvard Business Review a few years ago. And these are proof points just showing how popular and how much demand data scientists have, or there is for data science. So, the probability of getting a job, I think, is quite high. I think every corporate in South Africa, from mines to banks to insurers to retailers, will and do need data scientists to work for them. So with a data science qualification or skill set, I think getting a job will be quite easy. BCX is a sponsor. They're sponsoring 100 students, and a subset of those students will get a job at BCX. So to some extent, a lot of those students will be funneled into the BCX workplace. But yeah, as a headline, I think a data science skill set really sets you up for a great career.
All right, sure. Sean Dibnall, thank you very much for joining us and being a part of our network.
Cool, thank you so much.
All right, so go there, apply, and become a data scientist. Now, we caught up with actor Tishiwezi Qubu, who told us what her favorite piece of technology is.
Hi, my name is Tishiwezi Qubu, and I'm an actress, scriptwriter, and director. My favorite gadget is my Mac laptop, because I'm a writer. It helps me write. I used to write by pen. I usually don't like technology. I wrote a book. I wrote a whole book and it got lost because I lost the whole thing. So now I kind of get it. So my Mac is my favorite thing. Backup, iCloud. Those are my favorite things right now.
Today on Rights and Recourse, we will unpack the new traditional court model.
The idea of the bill is not to over-regulate, to basically set the principles.
The most important aspect of this bill is that it understands
that customary law by its nature is consensual, that I have a right to affiliate, I have a right therefore to opt in, and I have a right to opt out.
The opt-out provision is basically one that you've got to respect the court in the sense of if you've been summoned, you've got to tell the clerk of the court at least that you're not willing to attend.
The challenge that I would like to throw to the Department of Justice, it has to come up with mechanisms of ensuring that people who exercise their right to opt out or to opt in are not in any way victimized.
Hashtag Rights with Dumila Matez on legal issues every Sunday at 2 o'clock Central African Time.
We're talking news, business and sporting updates both continentally and abroad. South Africa is in its first economic recession since 2009.
Currency has appreciated, quite a lot, especially for this year, and it has benefited from a number of things. Not so much to do with what was happening here at home.
The Islamic State-linked news agency AMAC claims the latest attack was launched because of Australia's backing in the US fight against the group.
Constad is one of the dozens of women who have accused Cosby of sexual assault, but hers is the only case recent enough to be subjected to criminal prosecution.
Stay tuned to News Today at 3 p.m. from Monday to Friday on SABC News.
It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Welcome back. Now, Yahoo says all 3 billion accounts were hacked in 2013 and the latest 5G technologies were showcased at a recent expo. These are some of the top tech stories in the last week.
This past Tuesday, Yahoo said that all 3 billion of its accounts were hacked in a 2013 data theft, where data from more than 1 billion user accounts were compromised, tripling its earlier estimate of the size of the largest breach in history, which already had spawned a nationwide lawsuit. Yahoo said it recently obtained new intelligence showing all account users had been affected. However, the company said the investigation indicated that the stolen information did not include passwords in clear text, payment card data or bank account information. Now going to Sweden. 3 US scientists won the 2017 Nobel Prize for Physics on Tuesday for opening up a new era of astronomy by detecting gravitational waves, ripples in space and time, foreseen by Albert Einstein a century ago. The work of Rainer Weiss, Barry Barish and Kip Thorne crowned a half a century of experimental efforts by scientists and engineers.
The prize this year was for the discovery of gravitational waves, or for the first direct detection of gravitational waves here on Earth. And these waves are a completely new kind of wave, a new kind of radiation. We're familiar with, say, light waves and radio waves and sound waves, but these are actually oscillations of space-time itself caused by really cataclysmic and violent events out in the universe, like the merger of 2 black holes. And they offer now a new way of seeing things that we never could see before.
Measuring gravitational waves offers a new way to observe the cosmos, helping scientists explore the nature of mysterious objects including black holes and neutron stars. It may also provide insight into the universe's very earliest moments. Now going to Beijing, China. More than 400 companies in the sector of information and communication technologies from over 10 countries and regions gathered for the latest 5G technology showcase at Telecom Expo in Beijing. China's telecom magnate Huawei Technologies has completed the second phase of 5G technology research and development test organized by the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology.
We have broken a lot of industrial records in the second phase of 5G technology research and development tests. The peak rate increased to 32 gigabytes per second in the downloads, compared to the 10 gigabytes per second required by the International Telecommunication Union. The delay time reduced to 0.33 millisecond compared with ITU standard of 1 millisecond.
This year's event also featured ICT extension in the Internet of Things, with exhibitors showcasing 5G applications such as remote driving, facial recognition and disaster warning. As one of the largest and most influential ICT events in Asia, PT Expo is hosted annually by the MIIT and organized by China International Postal and Telecommunications Appliances Corporation. Since 1990, the event has been committed to building up a dynamic platform for the ICT ecosystem, providing ideal services and networking opportunities in the aspects of policies, research, development, applications, market trends, and investment. Going to Japan now. On Monday, Japanese Olympic bronze medal winning table tennis player Yun Mizuwani tested out a table tennis robot, pitting his paddle skills during a press preview for the SeaTac Japan 2017 electronics exhibition beginning in Shiba.
It wasn't any different from playing with a human being. The robot kept improving and getting better as we played. And to be honest, I wanted to play with it when it had reached its maximum level to see how good it is.
The Morpheus robot, developed by Omron Corp to showcase its AI technology, was recognized by Guinness World Records in autumn of 2016 as the world's first robot for table tennis coaching. The latest model proved a surprise to Mizutani, who was impressed with its ability to return his smash.
Now, the Vodafone Smart V8 is a new mid-range smartphone by Vodafone. It ticks the right boxes for the range it's in. If you want a cheap phone that helps you browse the internet and take photographs, then this one is for you. The Vodafone Smart V8 runs the Android Nougat operating system. This phone has a fingerprint sensor in the back, which has been seen in other brands. It has a 5.5 full HD screen. There's a processor that streams media for up to 300 megabits per second. There's a 16-megapixel rear camera and 8-megapixel front camera with double flash. This week, our poll has been asking you if you play locally developed video games. Now, 12% of respondents say yes, they do. There is also 24% saying no. In first place is 64% of people who are asking if there are any video games developed in Africa. And that's all we have for you. Find us on SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. We leave you with visuals of the Atacama Desert Race from me and the rest of the network team. Have a good one. Bye-bye.